4 cards. EK 47. The rule. If there is a vowel on one side, there is an even number on the other. Which cards do you turn over to test whether the rule is test? Most people say E and 4. The correct answer is E and 7. This is not a trick. This is confirmation bias, the single most pervasive reasoning error the human mind makes. And after this episode, you will never see it the same way again. Welcome back to Deductive Minds. In Episode 8, we met System 1, the fast, automatic mind that generates most of our errors. Today we go deeper into the 2 biases that corrupt reasoning most systematically: confirmation bias, 2 invisible filters distorting everything you think you know. In 1966, Peter Wason designed one of the most famous experiments in the history of reasoning research, the 4-card selection task. He gave participants a simple logical rule and 4 cards and asked which cards they needed to flip to test whether the rule was true. The correct answer is logical and straightforward, and fewer than 10% of participants got it right. Not because they were unintelligent, because they were human. Because the human mind, by default, looks for confirmation, not falsification. Here is why E and 7 is the correct answer. You flip E, because if the other side is odd, the rule is immediately false. You skip K, because the rule says nothing about consonants. You skip 4, and this is the key insight, because the rule does not say that even numbers must have vowels. Flipping 4 can only confirm, never refute. You flip 7, because if the other side is a vowel, the rule is broken. Most people flip 4 instead of 7. They look for confirmation. They ignore the card that could falsify. This is confirmation bias in its purest, most demonstrable form. Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms what we already believe. It is not dishonesty. It is not stupidity. It is the natural behavior of a brain that has already formed a prediction and prefers to confirm it rather than challenge it. We notice evidence that agrees. We dismiss evidence that contradicts. We remember the hits. We forget the misses. And we do all of this without any awareness that it is happening. The second bias today is equally powerful: availability bias, described by Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman in 1973. We judge the probability of an event by how easily examples come to mind. Plane crashes dominate the news. Vivid, dramatic, unforgettable. They feel common because they are memorable. Car accidents kill dramatically more people every single year, but they feel less dangerous because they are ordinary. We are not assessing probability. We are assessing memorability, and the 2 are not the same. These biases are not theoretical. A doctor who has formed a diagnosis tends to interpret subsequent symptoms as confirming that diagnosis, even when they point elsewhere. This is how misdiagnoses happen. An investor whose last 3 bets were correct overestimates their own ability and underweights contradicting signals. This is how fortunes are lost. A juror who forms an early impression filters the entire trial through that lens. This is how innocent people are convicted. Confirmation bias is not a minor quirk. In high-stakes environments, it is catastrophic. First practical exercise: the devil's advocate in any important decision or belief. Assign a devil's advocate. If you are alone, play the role yourself. Force yourself to construct the strongest possible argument against your current position, not a weak version you can easily dismiss. The strongest version. If you cannot make the counter-argument compelling, you do not understand the issue well enough to hold your position with confidence. If you can make it compelling, you have found the real risks your confirmation bias was hiding. Second practical exercise, the falsification question. Before committing to any important belief or decision, ask yourself one question and write the answer down. What would I need to see to conclude that I am wrong? Then actively look for exactly that. This is Popper's falsifiability principle, applied to personal reasoning. If you cannot answer the question, your belief is not a reasoned position. It is a conviction, and convictions are immune to evidence. Third practical exercise, calibrate your availability. When something feels dangerous, common, or likely, because you have seen it in the news or heard about it recently, stop and find the base rate. The base rate is the actual statistical frequency of an event in the real world. How often does this actually happen? Not how often does it appear in your feed. Base rates are the antidote to availability bias. They replace vivid stories with actual probabilities. This habit of reaching for data before updating a risk model is one of the most powerful reasoning defenses available to you. Confirmation bias. We see what we expect. Availability bias. We fear what we remember. Both are automatic. Both are correctable. The devil's advocate breaks the first. The falsification question exposes it. Base rate calibration defeats the second. Use these tools, and you are reasoning in a way that the vast majority of people never learn to do. Next episode, we bring everything together. The complete reasoning framework. Every tool from both seasons assembled into a system you can use every day. Charlie Munger's mental models, Nassim Taleb's anti-fragile thinking, and a personal reasoning practice you can start tomorrow. The final episode of Season 2, and the most practical one yet. Thank you for watching. Always flip the 7. Look for what would prove you wrong. That is where the truth lives. Subscribe, like, hit the bell. The final episode of Season 2 is next, and it pulls everything together. Until then, reason sharply, observe precisely, think deeply.